Welcome back to Missouri River Bottom for episode 8. I'm BP and it's April, which means it's time to plant corn in the mega field. That was a quick time lapse of the stone picking contracts we did yesterday. I just picked one and threw it on a quick time lapse. We did complete 3 of them yesterday, so we've got some funds to collect. But this morning we're down at the shop and we've got our F450 connected to our new Kinze Blue Drive Planter and our TLX with the new drop deck we picked up last episode. It's got 16,000 liters of seed on it and a really cool new mod I found. It's a windbreak for our cattle. So let's get the F450 heading back to the farm so we can get started with our planting for today. And while he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and let's take a look. I want to show you guys this windbreak. It's really cool. There are a couple of different pieces in the mod, and we'll go through those. But this will go down in our cattle pasture, give them a nice windbreak to hide behind or to lay behind. The pasture does include some trees and a wooded area, so they are protected, and as always, they have access to the barn. But I thought this would be a nice addition, try to do some enrichment for our calves. So this mod, it's not a mod hub mod, but it can be found down in the miscellaneous section, and there's a bunch of pieces to it. We've got the vertical windbreak, which is the one I picked up and put on the trailer. There's a slanted windbreak as well. A sunbreaker just provides some shade. The lizard-free standing panel in both a finished and then sort of an aged rusted look. And then lastly, there's 2 of these ramps, one with like a powder coat finish and the other one is rusted again. These actually replace your gates on your cow pasture and you can drive over them with a side-by-side like the Kubota. So these are really cool. And what's nice about these, not only are they just sort of quick and cheap and nice to put in your role play, they also have attachment points for your front end loaders. So whether you're running, a set of loader arms on your tractor or you have a telehandler, these should connect up and you can move them around your farm with your equipment as well. So that's a really, really nice mod. The other thing I'm excited about today, and you may notice it over on the left-hand side, just now this afternoon, the garage menu mod came out on the mod hub, and this is a huge quality of life mod. Anyone who plays Farming Simulator and has been played, for multiple versions of the game, you're used to having this garage function in the shop, and it shows you all the equipment you owned, and you can click on your tractors and your different items, and you can see how many hours are in power, their power specs and how much fuel they hold and their speed, all that kind of stuff. And they also allow you to enter the vehicle directly from the menu. You can sell from here. You can usually return your leased items for contracts or if you have a leasing mod in. So this really helps you manage your farm fleet, and we've had nothing like this in Farm Sim 25 so far. So this mod just came out today. It's great. One of the updates I really like about it is they put this thumbnail mini map down in the bottom that you can sort of see the general area of your mod. So you see our stone picker. We know that's parked underneath our shed back at the farm. And it's giving us a little mini map of the farm. If I come back out and say, go up to our TLX, which we know is at the shop, it shows, the mini map shows it at the shop. So you can keep track of your vehicles. If you wonder where they are, if they're making progress towards their destination, just a great quality of life feature and a great mod that came out today. So if you haven't already, download the garage menu mod off the mod hub. It adds right in, works great, and it's just a huge breath of fresh air compared to having to go through the menus and select the vehicles individually and, you know, do it the way they've integrated into FarmSim 25. So I'm excited about these two mods, but enough chatting. Let's get back to the farm and get started for the day. While the trucks were headed down here to the shop this morning, I did get the Deutz hooked up to our existing planter, and I brought the Fendt out of the shop. Both the tractors are actually parked up front by the field, ready to go, but I made sure they were all fueled up. The Deutz actually was running really low on fuel after doing that planting job yesterday on our grass field. So the tractors are fueled up. I actually repaired them in preparation for today, so they have optimal, you know, performance for our big planting session. So they're just back at the farm waiting for us. On the way down here, I did grab whatever wood products were at our sawmill. I actually threw them on this drop deck here and sold those. Made about $60,000 for 2 months worth of wood production. Just some beams, some planks, and some long planks. We wanted to get those dropped off and sold, and figured since we're heading down to our sell point anyways, we may as well grab them and take them with us. So I'm really excited for today, in specifically about, you know, what we're going to do with multiple vehicles and planting our big field using Courseplay. So the in-game, you know, steering assist that we used yesterday or last episode to plant the grass field is a huge improvement over what we've had in FarmSim in the past, and the AI integration with that is great as well. But when you start getting into big production farming, Courseplay really shines. You know, we're going to be able to set up a course with multiple tractors on the same field. They're going to interact with each other. You can use Courseplay for other things like harvesting and having a grain cart run together. It allows your vehicles to communicate and be on the same path, so you can use more than one implement or more than one vehicle for, you know, whatever activity you're doing, harvesting or planting, plowing. You know, and it allows those vehicles to communicate with each other and work together to get that done. So I'm excited to get that set up. We will start saving our Courseplay courses today. You know, the mega field is probably in its final version. So once we get the planting course set up, we'll use that year in and year out. So it'll be nice to have that set up. So I'm going to jump out here, grab the F450. You can see we got both tractors up here filling up with fuel. I left them filling up because it takes quite a while. They got a couple 100-gallon tanks. We're going to need them. I am going to probably start the planting with the Fendt. You know, we want to make sure that both of our vehicles are set to the same speed and have the same expectations. But anytime you're using two vehicles, you want to put the more powerful vehicle, the vehicle that's potentially going to be faster, in the lead, because even though we'll set the speeds in the Courseplay menu, if, let's say, the Deutz, which is a slightly smaller tractor, doesn't have as much power and isn't able to get up to speed, and you have that in the lead, then the tractor behind it's going to catch it, and that's not what we're looking for. So we know the Fendt is our big, powerful tractor. We'll start that on the first outside pass, and then we'll line the Deutz up for the inside pass. So I'm hoping I left enough room here. My goal is just to sneak the TLX between the tractors and be able to fill the seed right off the trailer. So if memory serves, we should have about 7,000 liters in the Kinze that's attached to the Deutz. We have 16,000 liters on the trailer, so that's about 23,000 liters of seed. Oh, this is going to work out really nicely. And so we'll put, 11 or 12,000 liters in each tractor, and try to have it split pretty evenly. So let's jump into the Fendt here, turn this on, see if we can get it to capture. Well, we got some seed there for a second. Let's see. Might be too close. Don't want to hit our... There we go. So we'll go ahead and get these topped off. When we get to the field, we'll set the Fendt up as I mentioned. We'll make sure both vehicles have the same working speed and expectations. We'll run a couple of headlands around the outside to get started. We'll go through all that. We'll save our course so it's ready to be used for next time, and then we're going to let them run. And while we're doing that, we have a mod to install here on the farm, or a production to install here on the farm. We talked about it last episode, but we're going to put in the slurry drying production to get us more manure. I debated buying a slurry spreader and having multiple setups, but I thought, you know, the manure spreader works so well. We've been used to using it. You know, it pulls really well with our tractors. Maybe we'll just produce, you know, manure for all of our fertilization needs. And I think that's going to be the way to go. So once we get these two started, we'll follow them around a little bit, get some video of them, and see how Courseplay works and interacts. And then after that, we will jump into dropping that mod somewhere on the farm. I got a couple of ideas to run through. So may have to pull this Deutz up just a little bit to get the remainder of the seed. We'll see if we can reach the far side of the trailer, but we're pretty close to being ready to go here. The other nice thing about saving the courses, they're really nice and easy to load into the tractors, because you do have to load. I guess we'll put the other two in the Fendt. I suspect they will reach. Let's see. Oh, maybe they won't reach. Well, let's get those bags released off the trailer. Maybe pull the trailer up a little bit. Move it around a little bit. Don't want to do too much just because we got that windbreak on there. And don't want to risk knocking that over. I think the Deutz might actually pick up those bags now. Their planter opened like it was recognizing that they were there. So we'll get one more in here, and this will actually be better in the end because we'll have it just about evenly split, which is as close as we're going to get. Okay. So the Deutz is filling up, and we're done. We'll pull this guy through. Gonna get him just staged right here for us. Run back to the Fendt. And as I said, we'll get him started first on the field. Okay, let's get squared up. Let's get unfolded. Now, one thing that I was thinking about was I'm not sure how Courseplay is going to interact with the fertilizer tank being empty on this tractor. Could be a problem, not sure, but we'll have to wait and see. As you know, we fertilize the field with manure, so there's no need to put fertilizer down, but sometimes an empty tank causes Courseplay to not work. So we're going to drop the speed down to 22.4. Field work will do the same. This shouldn't matter. 13.7 for the turns, 9.9 for reverse. We'll remember those numbers and use them on the Deutz as well. In setting up the course, we're going to go multiple tools, take that up to 2. Field margin, we're not going to have any. Number of headlands, now this is at 2, which we typically run, but this is the number of passes for each tractor. So if we leave it at 2, that's 4 passes around the outside, and I don't think we need that. I think we'll go down to 1, which will be a total of 2 passes around the outside, 1 for each vehicle. With no rounded corners, we want them reaching all the way into the corners. So let's go ahead and generate that course. Give it just a second. The bigger the field, the more vehicles, the more complicated the course, the longer it takes for Courseplay to figure it out. That was actually pretty quick. Before we get started, I do want to save. I opened a folder already, and I label my folders for Courseplay by what the action is. So this folder is going to have all of our planting routes on it. I did play around with the mega field earlier, so we're going to delete that entry because I don't know that that's the same one we currently have. Change mode, save course, and then when we save it, we put the field, which in this case is the mega field. So that's in there now. That course is saved. We can use that for both tractors. Now, when we go back out and we pull up the course play, you can see at the bottom here, the course name is Megafield, so you know that's the correct one. On the right-hand side, there's an indicator right or left, and that's just which side of the course you want this to run. So one tractor will run the left side of the course, one will run the right side of the course. It'll be good to go if you had 3 vehicles, you'd have a left, middle, and right. So you want to make sure you have one selected for each one. So it looks like we are good to go. Just need to get the planter switched over to corn. And we're going to see if that empty fertilizer tank creates a problem. Yeah, the tank is empty. I'm going to give it one more try and just see if I can force it through. If not, I'm just going to put liquid fertilizer in the tank. It's not going to do anything for our field, but it will allow us to work with course play. And that'll make it happy. So we should be good to go now. Get it unfolded. And now what I like to do is let the lead vehicle go one full side or end of the field. So starting here, I'm going to jump into Deutz, give us a little better perspective. But let this guy run all the way up his side of the field and all the way across the top. That's going to give us enough room for both tractors to work. We have square corners on, so they're going to be backing up, you know, getting into those corners, and we don't want them running into each other. So we'll jump in here. Let's make sure that the vehicle speeds are set to the same. This was 22.4, this was 22.4, 13.7, 9.9, that's all the same. Now what we need to do is come into our saved courses, and first you need to clear any existing courses out of the tractor's memory. Once you have that done, you can select a course and then load the course in, and when we come back out, you'll see we have the Megafield as our course down there in the middle. Now it's still set to do the right or the left side, which is the side the Fent is doing and not the side we want the Deutz to run on. So I click that over to right, make sure we set it to the first waypoint. I know right off the bat we're going to have to fill up the liquid fertilizer just to make course play work. So we will fill it up even though we don't need it. And then we will go ahead and hit start because the Fent should be good to go there. Let's see how the Deutz does getting lined up. All right. And let's switch over here, and I'm wondering... I'm not sure where he's going. I'm wondering if he didn't get set on the first waypoint, so he did not. That was my mistake. So we'll set him back to the first waypoint. Make sure we're actually, I guess we'll be doing the inner round first with the Deutz. You can see it going over there and getting into its corner. Not a big deal. There's always a couple of steps, and if you miss one, you just go back and restart. We didn't lose very much, a couple minutes or even a minute or two of just going around the field. So there goes the Deutz. It'll be all the way across the top before the Fent gets started. Yeah, it didn't look like it got into that corner, and it sure didn't, so we'll let it get squared up here. Let's watch it and see what it does. Alright, he's tearing up the field. Let's just watch him for the first full corner, make sure we're getting everything done. And here we go. That's a square corner I was expecting that we asked him to do. Alright, you can see the Deutz heading down the other side. So we have, you know, one side of the field between our tractors. That's going to be a good distance. There are a couple of settings you can play with within course play in regards to, you know, skipping lanes and alternating and all that kind of stuff. I found the more you mess with it, the worse it gets. Let course play do what it does well. Set the tractors up. Just pick your headlands. Make sure everything else is working well. And, you know, go from there. So I think we're in good shape. We'll make sure he gets off and around his corner here. And if he is good to go, then we'll jump back over and get that windbreak placed for the cows and be ready to go. I'm wondering if he's going to get that grass that we struggled with. I think the grass should go away, so let's take a look and see what happens here. Yep, so the grass where we plowed does go away. That's great news. All right, so the Fent and the Deutz are on their way to planting. We've got a lot of time on this field with them going back and forth. So we'll let them run for a little bit and check in later once they're on the up and downs and get their progress going. But we're in good shape right off the bat, getting this field started first thing in the morning. So now I'd like to jump over. We may as well collect our 2 contracts that we had, or 3 contracts. We had stone picking on field 16, which is actually the field we plowed a couple episodes ago, so we can pick that one up. We have the stone picking on field 19, just around the corner. That's actually up behind where the propane station is. That one's for 95. And then the last one was 7 down at the very bottom. 127,000 for that one, so we got that all collected, so we are in good shape there. Now, in regards to the mod I want to put in, I guess we should jump into the TLX and get that moved first. Let's put the straps on. I'm going to run this down into the field, and, you know, maybe what we'll do... I wonder, I don't think we have gate in our fence to get this up and over, so we may have to just sort of work it in there ourselves. Let me see real quick if the fence got worked in, because I know we have the one down here in the middle. You can cut up there, but I don't think we're getting a tractor in that. We're definitely not getting a tractor in there. So, yeah, I don't see a fence or a gate in our fence to let us in. So I guess we'll just pop this in by hand. You know, something we'll have to think about for next time is, you know, getting access to our fields so that we can get stuff like this in. So let's go ahead. I'm thinking... we want a nice spot. Where's the sun? Let's put that down. Sun's up over there. Yeah, let's put this up here. You know, give them some space. I think right about there looks good. Not bad. So they got a little windbreak, so that way they can be in the sun, they can be protected from the wind, and we're good to go there. So all set. We'll get the TLX, or get the flat deck parked up behind the shed. Haven't seen the tractors come around this side of the field yet. Not that that's surprising because of how big the field is. But, you know, we'll wait for them to come through and try to keep an eye on this. We're doing our other projects. So the next step for us is going to be finding a spot for that slurry dryer. And then we're going to need to find some way to transport the slurry to the slurry dryer. So we'll need some sort of tanker or tender. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like yet, but we will take a look. Okay, let's get the TLX parked in the shop. I don't think we're going to need it again today. Actually, may come over here. It looks like it needs a little fuel. It's about halfway done, so let's fill this up. While that's filling up, let's start looking at the mod we're talking about putting in for today. So it should be in productions. I'm wondering if it's at the bottom because I just added it recently. Time savings, that's the distribution. We have the multi. Here it is. So liquid manure dryer. I'm not even totally sure what all the inputs are and what they do, but I know in the description it said you can put slurry in and get manure out. So let's take a look. It's not a huge mod. We had talked previously about leaving some space on this side of the building, but I don't think it's going to reach to tuck it in over there. So maybe we put it over here in the field, do a little bit of flattening. I also considered, do we tuck it in behind the cow barn? Because we don't really have a lot of use for the space back here. So both options, just trying to get a look at where the inputs are. They're both across the front. So you dump there and then you'd fill up the pipe. So we'd need the ability to come by and loop. That may be a little bit tight, getting a tractor in and then turning around without getting on that field. We could try putting it here. I don't think we can get a tractor by there to loop. And I don't think we have any way to get out on this side of the building. I think well, maybe we do. Maybe we take that tree out and we put it back here. So if we get it all the way up against the building, maybe we try putting it there and looping it in. So all of our all of our cow and cattle stuff is, in one area. That's just might be just a little bit tight. Well, let's put the TLX away and then we'll take a look at it, get down there, see if we like it down there. As always, before placing mods, it's a good idea to save your game. That way, if anything doesn't work out and it really gets bad, you can always go back and start fresh. So we'll get this guy parked. Straighten him out just a little bit. Okay. Jump out here. Nope. I only got one of the 2 parking jobs today. The TLX looks good. The F450 this morning before I had coffee did not look good. Definitely get your morning caffeine in there, guys. You don't want to be parking like that. So before we do any changes, I do want to jump in and just hit a quick save, just to make sure if we don't like the outcome, we can get back to where we need to be. So all saved. And I'm wondering, oh, they've made it all the way around the field. Well, at least the Deutz has. Well, the Deutz is flying. Look at it over there. And here comes the Fendt. The Fendt seems to be the slow one. I wouldn't have guessed that, but maybe we jump into the Fendt. You know what it is? The Fendt's doing the outside row, and it's got all those corners it has to keep filling in. So it's going to take a little while longer than the Deutz. That's why. I bet it's up to the same speed. We'll do a quick round, or a quick lap in the Fendt and just check what speed it's getting up to, and then jump over to the Deutz and just make sure our speeds match. We set them both at 24 miles an hour, so it shouldn't be a problem. But let's just double check before we run back over and get that new production dropped on the farm. So he's pulling at 22 just like we want him to. That's looking really good. I think it's just that he's on the outside course and has a bit more work to do. It is nice that all that extra grass that we plowed over that didn't disappear a couple episodes ago is disappearing under the planters, so we're good to go there. Interesting, someone missed that spot right there. We'll have to see if they come back and get it. I'm going to jump out here and run across to the Deutz, and let's just double check that it's also running at the same speed so we don't have any problems. Yep, it's running at 22 miles an hour, smooth as butter, looks really good. It is funny to me, even if the field doesn't need fertilizer, if you put liquid fertilizer in the planter, it's going to go down on the field. So it is using the liquid fertilizer. We don't need it. We fully fertilize the field with the cow manure, and I run the double application of fertilizer mod. So it doubles the application rate and reaches the full fertilization state in one pass. So that manure got the field all set up and ready to where it needed to be. So it's fine that it's using it. It's not costing us anything. It's just sort of silly that we can't just plant. We have to have liquid fertilizer in there for the courses to work. But that's not a big deal. We can make that happen. So all right, jumping out here because that looks like it's going well. We will run back over here and try to figure out where we think we want to put that slurry dryer. I'm interested to see what other productions it has, what inputs it has, what we're going to end up doing here. So let's stand right here, get into the construction menu. We're back here. And actually this spot down here, just sort of where I accidentally started, wouldn't be a bad spot. Be able to loop around the barn, come through here, and knock that out. could put it a little closer up. It does look like it has some pretty significant ground leveling, so maybe we come in and, you know, let's pick like this spot right here as the level and see if we can get a little sort of platform right here for the mod to sit on. And it wasn't at the bottom. It was right... Oh, do we go? Nope, here it is. Yeah, see, that's going to be pretty steep getting back up to our gravel path there. So maybe, once again, maybe we just bring it up to this level. Do some smoothing when we're all done. Yeah, that does look better. So if we push that out, say right about there. Okay, so that's not too bad. We will smooth all of our edges. I have to get a smaller brush size here. Let's make sure there's no lumps or bumps anywhere. Come back in here. Get some meadow grass. I think I want to, before I do the meadow grass, I may just gravel in this whole production. I'm not a big fan of the mud texture in general. I like my productions on gravel. A little more industrial. Gives us the ability to move stuff around. And mud just seems like a bad idea to me. So, pop over here, check that. That looks pretty good. Alright, so now we go back and get some grass. And we gotta fill in around the edges. And we might even do a little bit of landscaping. Sort of integrate it into the area. Looks pretty good so far. We had a couple of trees last time. Were they these trees? No, but those do look pretty good. So maybe a couple of trees here. Even a couple more. Nice big tree to anchor it. That'll also help sort of cover up a little bit of that hill we have going there. I think one of these back here. Need something a little smaller for the front edge. Excellent. Then we're going to need some shrubs. And mix it up with some tall ones as well. These have some nice color to them. And I think that might be the same one. Let's get a couple of these. Really need to be bigger than that? Yeah, they do. Okay. Let's take a look at that and see if that's what we like. Now we got a little bit of an edge here that's going to have to be worked out. Let's see how the rest of it looks. This looks pretty good. We do... That corner right there is not my favorite. Let's see if we can float that out a little bit. If not, we may have to pick up the production and put it back down. So let's zoom in here. Get a square brush. Get as much density as we can. And will it let us smooth that back in? Not really. Okay, so what we're going to do here is grab this guy, get rid of him for a minute, come back in here. We're going to zoom in. It was this corner right here that was not smoothing properly. So put that there, go back, grab the production. Should be right here. We're going to have to repaint the gravel, which is no big deal. And right about there. Let's grab that gravel. Probably a little too big. Okay. Good. So that we can smooth that. That's not a problem. This all looks good. Guess we went pretty heavy with the foliage in here, but that's fine. Alright, so let's grab our smoothing tool. Smooth out that final little bump, set of bumps over here on the edge. Zoom way in. And I think we need just a little bit of grass right in here. I think we went over our gravel just a touch. Let's fill that back in. Alright, that edge is nice and smooth. This looks pretty good. I think we're good to go there. Is our lime production still on? Is that why it's clunking away? Yeah, there we go. So we can get that turned off. That'll quiet it down a little bit. Alright, so here is the new, what do they call it? Bio product. So take slurry, manure, wood chips, solid fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, herbicide, digestate, lime, rocks, and water to some extent. So jump into the menu and let's see what the inputs are. So if we want manure, 15 slurry is 4.5 manure, so that's great news. Digestate, you can do slurry and water to get digestate. Not sure what the value of that is, but you can do it. Herbicide, we can drop some lime from right across the other production and some wood chips and get herbicide. That's an interesting production. I like that one. Lime, just stones to lime. We have a great lime mill already, so I don't know that we'll use this one, but good to have. Water and slurry can also be converted to liquid fertilizer. Now that's interesting. So we could do that. We also have our farm production that does liquid fertilizer as well. So just, we'll see. Manure and then the solid fertilizer, you can turn manure directly into solid fertilizer. So that is really sort of exciting stuff right there. So I'm glad we got that put in. How are we going to get that stuff? How are we going to get the slurry over there? Well, I think it's time to send the JCB to the shop. Because whatever we do, we're going to pick it up at the shop. So we'll get him going. Might jump into... Let's try the Deutz again real quick and just see how things are going. So they started out with about 12,000 liters of seed. Looks like they're down to 11.5, so we're not using very much seed. Again, we are ticking away at that liquid fertilizer, even though we don't need it. You can see the field up here is all already done. This guy's alternating his rows, giving the Fendt room to come in and do his part. So their spacing is good right now. The planting is going really well. This is really what we were hoping for when we got both machines up and into the field. So good news. Things are going well. We'll have to keep an eye on them and just make sure that they stay on track. But as of right now, I would call this a highly successful adventure so far this morning. So while we wait for the JCB to get down to the shop so we can figure out what tanker or tender or whatever else we're going to get is going to come back to the farm, let's take a look and see if there's anything else on the docket for today. So I think we're in good shape. We should check on the cow food. Just see how they're doing. Say hi to the Fent there as he drives by. Looking good, guys. Good work. So the cows. Okay, so we were unsure. Last episode we had gone through all of the hay that we bought. We had about 90,000 liters of hay going into winter, and they ate through all of that, which is totally fine. Yesterday they were at about 100, and I think it was 117, maybe 116,000 liters of meadowgrass, and we weren't sure because we hadn't seen the meadowgrass regrow yet because it had been winter, and because we had all those challenges with getting the meadowgrass to take, and we had to plant our own field and go through that whole process. It's good to see that we're back up to 124,000 liters. That means the meadowgrass is growing back. It's going to be self-sustaining, and the calves are going to be able to survive on that. So as of right now, you know, we will pick up another 100 limousine calves tomorrow or next month, just to even it out. I think about 400 cattle on the farm will be a good number. But I think they may just be able to survive on the meadowgrass, which would make them a really cost-effective investment for the farm in regards to, you know, long-term growth. They'll be worth a lot of money. They will reproduce on their own, giving us offspring so we don't have to buy anymore. And if we don't have to feed them, that's really, really good news. So I think that's all working out exactly like we hoped. So far today, we've just had a lot of success in all of our adventures. So let these guys pass one more time. They're doing a great job. And there's the JCB reaching the shop. So maybe we jump in and head over to the JCB and figure out what we want to do in regards to getting slurry moved. So into the shop we go. Check the sale as always. Just make sure we don't miss anything. Another 8 Series Deutz. It's a nice one. Small combine head harvester here. Not something we're looking for. We already have a trailer. We don't need any more cultivators. These logging machines are always so much fun, but they're just so big and don't really have any other use. So I can't imagine ever owning one, but I just love the way these things look. I mean, they're just absolute beasts of machines. And I mean, we wouldn't buy it, but got Eco Tracks and EX and all. I mean, look at all these crazy wheel options. Look at those like studded chains. I mean, that's just craziness. Yeah, those huge, what were those? Those were huge Midas floaters. Look at how big those tires are. That's with the bead lock and everything else. That's a crazy piece of machinery. I don't know if we'll ever own one, but they're a lot of fun to look at. So, all right, back in. We're seeing all the options we've already seen. I think we're gonna have to buy something. Here's that Kubota I was talking about earlier. That'll drive over that windbreaker mod with that little ramp, so you can get in and out of your pasture. So that's a size vehicle those ramps work with. So just good to see that. So let's check out. Let's see what we have in the animal section. We have the usual trailers. We don't want anything that's a semi-trailer like these three. Do we want something this as big as the MKS 8? You know, it's not a bad size to have. It's pretty big to drive around the farm, but you know, probably not too big for what we need. Come in here, see what we can get spec'd out. As usual, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I mean, that's $25,000, and we can get the capacity up to 50,000 liters. I think that's going to be plenty to move that slurry around. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. So let's go ahead and purchase that trailer. And we will go around and get connected to it on the JCB. Take it back to the farm. And put some slurry in our new production. one of the best features of the JCB is the four-wheel steer, particularly on the 4000 series. They're so small and light tractors. The four-wheel steer, they turn on an absolute dime. Great for running around doing yard work on the farm, in and out of the buildings, taking tight corners. So just a great all-around tractor. I don't know if we spent a ton of time in the JCB this series, so maybe we'll drive it back, take a look at what we have left to do for the day, and, you know, sort of explore from there. We're sitting in a really great spot. We have $420,000 even after making our purchases with the extra Kinze planter today, all of our seed, buying that production, which was $50,000, and then this slurry tanker, which cost us another $25,000. So we have a good reserve in the bank. We could consider paying down the loan a little bit more. I might consider putting like $250,000 on the loan, leave us with about $170,000, which would be good. We are, before the end of the, you know, the growing season, going to need a second combine. We were fortunate enough to pick up that corn header on sale, so we do have 2 corn headers. When it comes time to harvest, we can run 2 combines. We just have to find another combine. The Colossus, we bought another one of those, which would be, you know, probably my preference to have matching combines just for sake of ease. You know, they're between $300,000 and $400,000. We'd have to come up with a little bit of money between now and then to make sure we could do that. We haven't even taken a look at any of the contracts today, so maybe once we get back to the farm and we're filling this tanker up, maybe we'll take a look at the contracts and see what options we have there to make some money and try to figure out what we're going to do with the rest of these funds. We are planning on purchasing another 100 cattle, another 100 calves, I should say specifically, next month in May. That'll give us our 400 that we want on the farm. 200 Angus and 200 Limousine, 2 sets of each at 100. So they'll be all, what'll be 2, 4, 6, 8 months apart in total. So we have calves every 2 months. So we're not having to do too much transporting when it comes time to sell them. We can take 1 trip every couple months, but we'll be in good shape. So we need some funds for that. That's going to be about $36,000 if I remember correctly. With the, I guess if we transport them, we don't pay, so maybe $30,000. So we have a little bit of money to play with here. Man, that sawmill's already producing more wood. That's great news. So let's get over here, do the slurry, take a look at the finances. Maybe we put another $250,000 down on the loan. Oh, this looks nice driving through here with all the landscaping and everything else. That turned out really good. So we'll cut through the barn. Slow down when we're going inside. Make sure we have our beacons on when we're driving around the farm. Don't want to have an accident. And the slurry fill point is right over here at the tank. One of the, again, I was talking about the 4-wheel steer on the JCB. It's great for getting in little areas like this. This has such a great turning radius to be able to do that. So let's see. Slurry, we have 158,000 liters, so we could take as many as 3 trips. I think at some point we'll automate this with auto drive, put a course in here so that this guy can just loop in, grab some slurry, and then take it over to the production. So while we're waiting for that to fill up, take a look at the loan. So it's that $1.5 million initial loan we had. The payment's just about $28,000 a month. We're down to $555,000. So if we put $250,000 on that, we'd be real close to getting down to $250,000. Now it does mean we'd have another $28,000 payment tonight going into May. We got to have funds left over for that. But I think just in an effort to try to keep this loan under control, let's make a payment on it. All right, so we're down to $305,000 on the loan. Leaves us with $170,000 in the bank. I think that was the right choice. Hopefully we have some good contracts coming up so we can get that money back in the bank and back on the farm. So we're going to need to pick up equipment. And like I said, you know, we're still Still don't have a grain cart or a grain bin for the farm. I want to run a full setup on the mega field when we harvest the corn. So we've got some pieces of equipment to purchase. That's filling up nicely. Let's take a look at contracts while we wait. So we have fertilizing for 85. That's not too bad. This is a $9,000 contract. Must be a tiny, tiny field. 82,000 for stone picking. I feel like we stone picked that one last episode, but apparently they want it stone picked again. So yeah, maybe we grab that one because that's an easy one for us. The hoeing contracts, I mean, 174K. That's a crazy amount of money, but that contract's going to take a lot of time. That's a 29 is that 194 acre field. It makes our mega field look like small potatoes, I guess. So I don't know if we want to grab a hoeing contract. Fertilizing field 12. We could use the manure we're creating with the slurry. So maybe that's a good contract because we wouldn't have to buy anything, wouldn't have to lease any of the equipment to get the fertilizer. So yeah, maybe we take the fertilizing contract on 12. And anything else going to pop up here? Let's take a quick look. Yeah, I mean, these hoeing contracts, there's some really good ones. 113, 174, but those are just going to be too big with the equipment we have available. And I don't remember if it was this way in Farm Sim 22 or not, but I thought in Farm Sim 22 we just had weeding contracts and you could just get rid of the weeds, you know, whether it was, you know, there was some that were spraying where you could use, you know, a sprayer and that kind of thing. And then there were weeding contracts that were, you know, more of the mechanical implement style weeders. And now we have hoes and weeders and all different things. And the contracts are very specific. I feel like if you just get rid of the weeds, your neighbor's going to pay you for the service. I don't think they're going to care too much about, you know, which implement you used, how you used it, all that kind of stuff. So I try to stay away from those because I've gotten burned so many times by not having the right equipment or thinking I had the right equipment and not. So we've got two good contracts we'll do off camera. But right now, while we're waiting for that field to wrap up, I'm going to go ahead and put a loop in here for the slurry and the milk. So I want to record a new route. I want to come down through here. Loop right there. I think right there we'll put, yep, that'll work. So let's disconnect real quick. This is going to be cows, slurry, and then let's go ahead and reconnect. I want to make sure the camera angle is nice and tall. This pipe over here is where the milk comes out, so we want to loop in here tight. We don't have any dairy cows now, but yep, we're on the trigger, so go ahead and disconnect again. Grab a waypoint here, just in case we decide to do something later. Reconnect. We'll get this one going out just a little bit further. Stop recording the course. And we'll back up, and I'm hoping that waypoint is, yeah, of course, fighting me on that one. I'm going to move this right to there, and then I'm going to try to loop it to the same point. I think that's going to work just perfect. So let's set this guy up to do a little bit of farm work. We want him to fill at the slurry point. Oh, we don't have the point at the new production yet. We'll have to go add that in. So grab our tanker. I want him to do the next 2 or 3 passes on his own without us. We'll watch the first one, make sure it works. Alright, let's see. I think a separate 2-way course is going to be necessary to hit that empty spot for the production. So we'll come right here. We'll record a 2-way course. And I think it's going to come from that way almost exclusively. So this will be a production slurry dryer. And we'll have them come across. And let's loop him back in to the course here. All right, so now the thought is he comes up here, he fills the production, he'll be driving this way. That might be a bit of a steep return. Maybe we do one of these. So now, if everything is working according to plan, billet cow slurry, we're going to empty at the production slurry dryer, and we're going to be moving slurry. We want them to repeat 2 times. Let's go ahead and we'll watch this first one, see how it goes, and see if he's good to go there. I think we're also going to be getting pretty close on the mega field. We'll check in on them as soon as we're wrapped up here. I wonder if which way he's going to go to get to the slurry. He's going to have to go through the barn because the barn's on a one-way loop. So yeah, come right down here. Good job. You know what? I may turn his speed down a little bit because he is cruising. I'll put his speed down to 20. And let's drop his corner speed down to 75% as well, just to avoid any craziness. There we go. That's a better speed to be driving through the barn. So here we go, pulling up to the slurry trigger. See if he hits it. Yep, he's filling, so that's great news. And now we just got to make sure he gets out of this loop and goes up to the slurry dryer. And if that all works out, we'll let him run on his own. And we will head over to the mega field and check on the Deutz and the Fendt. So 75% almost there. I don't know if I noticed the beacons in the fenders down there. Those are nice. Okay. Great job. Should pull right out. And let's see if he switches over. Oh, which way is he going? I see that's the problem. He can't come from that way because we don't have the trigger on that side. So what we're going to need to do is make this course, at least a portion of it, one way. So if we make that one way so he can't get out of there from the other side, he should... Oh, this part, that's why he skipped it. We had this as one way as well, so let's make that two-way. We'll go ahead and put him back towards the slurry point and have him start again. That one's on me, guys. I didn't set this worker up for success. I didn't realize our course was only one way at that juncture. So, just like he filled up, we're leaving again. Heading back off to the slurry production to get this dried out for manure so we can use it on our contracts. And hopefully we fixed everything. Yep, looks good. Yep, he's switching over. Great. So he's looking for the trigger now. And as soon as he hits that... Oh, you see the water pouring in under the tank over there? Yep, look at that. It's a nice mod. Okay, so he didn't quite make it far enough up before he made it to the stop point. So we'll move this up to here and get him a quick restart. And there we go. So he is doing great. He'll continue doing that. He'll do another 2 passes and get all of that. Let's look at the mega field. Oh, are they done? Oh, I think we got someone in the ditch. Oh, the Fent. How'd you do, buddy? Oh, boy. Okay, so lesson learned. We might have to do another headland pass, because the Fent doesn't like swinging out that wide. It is awfully close to the water. Man, we got really close to that whole thing working perfectly, so I think maybe we just extended the field a little bit too wide on that edge, and so when he went to turn, he got pulled into that ditch. So next time, we'll modify the course. We'll give it 2 full headlands from both tractors. That'll give it plenty of room to turn around. But we made it to all but the last 2 passes without any incidents, without any collisions. They planted all on their own. This guy also had about 12,000 liters of seed. He used a little over 2,000 liters. So we're in great shape as far as seed goes, and I'm excited that we were able to run both machines on this field and get it planted for today. So that's so exciting. You know, we're getting to the point where the farming's getting really fun. We have big equipment on big fields. We're using course plane auto drive. You know, and this is how these are supposed to be used to make this kind of thing happen. And while they were doing all that, we put into production. We went down to the shop. We bought a slurry tanker. We got our auto drive route set up for our slurry to be turned into manure. We were fortunate enough to pick up a fertilizing contract so we can take that manure that's recently converted from slurry and just go right over and, you know, do a contract with it so we can immediately be making our money back on that production, which is just great news. Yeah, the Fent definitely was too close to the water there. We'll update the course next season when we plant, to have 2 full headlands around and give them lots of space. So guys, I gotta say, this was a really exciting episode. I'm so glad we got the corn in. You know, it was a beautiful day to do it. We got a lot done. And I think that's where we're going to call it for today. So thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to drop a like and turn on notifications for more videos. And we'll see you in the next one.